January is the month that schools open, and usually quite stressful for most parents as they have to deal with the exorbitant cost of basic school requirements such as uniforms and stationery, which can often run into thousands and thousands of rands. Now, the Competition Commission of South Africa is investigating South African school uniform monopolies that allegedly overcharge and force parents, you and me, to buy from only certain suppliers. The Commission's probe into the 10 billion rand industry comes amid allegations that senior school executives get paid for exclusive supplier contracts. Yes, the little backhander that we know. The Commission will visit schools and other stakeholders as part of their fact-finding mission on this. Now, from the Competition Commission's Enforcement and Exemptions Department, we are joined by Itumeleng Lesofe. A very good morning to you, Itumeleng. Thank you for joining us today.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Itumeleng, just give us a quick idea. What are you guys looking at the Competition Commission? What are you probing? And more importantly, what have you found since your investigations have started?
Perhaps as a point of departure, I should mention that the Competition Commission does not question the school's entitlement, or rather right, to prescribe school uniform. Our concern is really in relation to the procurement side of schooling. So as the Competition Commission, we have received a number of complaints from various stakeholders, in particular parents. Most of these concerns are really in relation to what seems to be arrangements that schools conclude with specific suppliers. So the concern here is that once a parent has registered a school at his child or her child at a particular school, the parent is required to buy school uniform from a particular prescribed supplier. So the Commission has received a number of these complaints from a number of years until recently. So currently we are sitting at more than 10 formal and informal complaints. And I mean, preliminary investigations that have been conducted thus far show that there are indeed exclusive agreements that are concluded between schools and certain suppliers. To give an example, there is a supplier in the Western Cape that has exclusive supply agreements with more than 60 schools in a particular region in the Western Cape. And what concerns us is that some of these agreements are of indefinite duration. In other words, they don't have termination clauses. Now, what this does is that exclusive agreements of that nature eliminate competition. And we know that when there is no competition between suppliers, the designated or appointed supplier tends to take advantage and charge inflated or rather high prices, which is really the main concern from parents.
When you talk about inflated prices, give us an idea of how much these prices can be inflated when there's no competition, as you just pointed out.
Well, once a particular company has been made a monopoly supplier, it means that that particular company can charge as high price as it wishes, as opposed to when there is competition in the market. So when there is competition in the market, parents or consumers would have what we call consumer choice. And that would serve as a means to discipline suppliers. In other words, if you are a consumer and you are able to compare prices and buy where you feel that the price is affordable, that form of competition tends to bring prices down, as opposed to when there is no competition at all in markets.
What are some of the other complaints that you've found from parents with regards to this?
Well, as I've indicated, the main concern is really about parents being made to pay exorbitant prices for school uniform. And it appears that the main source of this concern is the exclusive agreements that are concluded between schools and suppliers. I should point out that we have been working very close with the Department of Education. And last year, the department issued a circular which contained guidelines to schools, especially public schools. In terms of these guidelines, schools were advised to keep their school uniform as generic as possible, so that parents would be in a position, to shop around and buy where school uniform is affordable. And where there is a need for exclusivity, such exclusivity should be limited to specific items. In other words, it doesn't make sense, for instance, for parents to be required to buy, say, a white shirt or a pair of black pants from a particular prescribed supplier, when that particular item can be bought from any supplier, including retail suppliers. The circular also indicated that when schools appoint service providers on an exclusive basis, there should at least be a tender process which would afford different suppliers an opportunity to compete for the supply of the school uniform to that particular school. And also, most importantly, once a school has decided to award a contract to a particular supplier after following the tender process, the duration of that contract should be short. In other words, a school should not have contracts of indefinite duration, because that would mean that there won't be any competition. And once the contract terminates, there should be another tender process which would allow other suppliers an opportunity to compete.
Give us an idea from your investigations now. Are you getting, or are you uncovering a culture of backhanders and corruption with regards to school governing bodies and educators and principals that are beholden by these companies?
I should point out that our investigation has not reached to that stage, but these are the things that we have heard from the public and from parents who have raised concerns. It appears that there are incentives that are given to members of school governing bodies, including principals, so as to induce them to appoint specific suppliers. Should our investigation uncover evidence of that nature, the Commission will collaborate with the relevant authorities so that those who are involved are brought to book.
What would be an ideal outcome for the Competition Commission out of this whole process?
The Competition Commission's primary role is really to encourage and promote competition in markets. So our ideal outcome would be the cancellation of any exclusive agreements that exist between schools and suppliers. In other words, we believe that the market should be opened up and there has to be competition, because once there's competition, consumers benefit. I should mention that as the Competition Commission, we don't see it as desirable, to be taking suppliers and schools to court. Because schooling is a very important sector or rather education is a very important sector in South Africa. So we would really not be that keen to be taking schools to court. However, if there is no compliance with the law, that leaves us with no option but to prosecute where we find contraventions of the Competition Act.
Itumeleng, thank you for joining us live from Pretoria this morning from the Competition Commission's Enforcement and Exemptions Department. Itumeleng Lesofe telling us that, well, they've uncovered a lot of anti-competitive behavior within, call it school uniform monopolies here in South Africa to date. It's an ongoing investigation. They're still looking at the role of principals and school governing bodies and other kinds of educators within this.